Welcome into the lounge presented by DraftKings. We are thrilled to sit down with wide receiver Rashod Bateman. Rashod is the resident fashion guy. Like when you're talking fashion on the team, you're talking to Rashod Bateman. So we'll start here.
What do you think of Ryan's outfit?
Who wore it better? You got to ignore the shorts. All right. Who's just got better fashion between me and Garrett? I guess we'll leave it at that.
This should be easy, I feel like, right?
Y'all are like twins right now.
Oh,
we actually do kind of have the same.
Kind of
I
twinning.
got the same vibe. I mean, y'all pass. Because it's what you want.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
want.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
I like that. I like that.
That was a charitable answer.
That was nice. That was a nice answer.
That was a nice guy answer.
Respectful.
So Rashod, just, everybody's really excited for you in this season. And it feels like, a lot of things are coming together that is really setting you up to have a great year. Does it feel like that for you, that, it's cliche to say the stars are aligning, but like that these different pieces, both personal life, football, health, all those things are kind of aligning for you?
I would say so. More so my life.
Yeah.
Outside of football.
Yeah.
Had to make a lot of changes there. I went through a lot there. But football, yeah. We're heading in the right direction. I'm just blessed to be healthy right now.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of work to be done, but I'm excited to, be in the position that I'm in today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit as much as you feel comfortable with about the personal changes that are going on in your life that are setting you up for success?
I mean, it kind of started in 2019 when I lost my father figure, my uncle.
Yeah.
And then the year after that was like COVID, and then draft, and then injure, and then my grandma passing away, my grandma's sister passing away, my cousin committing suicide, injuries, back to back. Yeah, it was a whole mental, up and down for the past couple years. So I'm definitely better now, I'm happy I went through that. It made me stronger. It made me well aware of who I am, who my surroundings are. So, it was a bad thing at first, but, I'm blessed to have went through that.
How did you handle the turmoil? You've experienced a lot as a young person, a lot of challenges and yeah, unfortunate tragedy. How did you go about handling it?
Just talking to myself. I feel like a lot of times, you get in those positions and there's always a lot of people that want to, talk to you and, be there for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think for me, I more so had to, look in the mirror, be honest with myself about what really was going on in my life, change things that, I needed to change. But, I think on top of that is just, having confidence in myself, no matter what's going on, and just knowing that I can do it as well. I feel like us as humans, we always, want to put trust in somebody else because that's what we're taught. But, I think sometimes we lose ourselves through that process as well. And, I was able to find myself again, and, be able to stand on, my 2 feet and just walk forward in life.
How long was that process, of kind of talking to yourself and talking yourself through it and building yourself up in that way?
I feel like that kind of came when I got to the NFL because life when you get here just for some reason just become more intense. My job is more intense. It matters more. So I would definitely say when I got here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How important do you think it is to have the personal, the mental side in a good place in order to succeed on the football field? Like, is that paramount?
Man, it is to answer your question, but I took a second because, now that I went through what I went through, I just think that it's the most important thing.
Really?
As a human being to go out there and play. A lot of guys can play, with emotions going on. But that's because they're able to turn off whatever they want. They turn off for the game. But, as soon as that game is over, everything's back. But eventually, no matter who you are, it catches up to you and it blows up. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think it's just, finding your way, finding your path.
you have always struck me as a guy that's like super introspective. Even as we're having this conversation, I think that's evident. And you're also very honest, pretty raw, even on press conferences and stuff like that. You're pretty honest, which I always appreciate. Have you always been that way? Is that part of the process that you're talking about?
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the process I'm talking about, because I used to not be that way. Okay. And I feel like a part of me got tired of, holding back, what I thought, what I felt, and just being able to speak freely. I feel like, being in the NFL, Lamar Jackson is the perfect example. He's the perfect example to look at somebody when just do what you want to do, but in a respectful way. He does it in a very respectful way, and, he's true to himself. And that's what I've always, wanted to be. But there's things that happen in my life that cause me not to, be that. But I definitely feel like I'm back on track now.
How do you go about, when you are in those dark times of kind of making sure that doesn't bleed into other parts of your life? You know what I mean? Like, how do you compartmentalize?
It's very hard. Honestly, man, I'm still working on it as we speak, but that's probably the hardest thing to do, because if you don't handle it, then it can bleed over into, other relationships, your job, anything. So it's definitely best, to take care of it, when you can. Ask for help if you need it, and just be vocal, and it's a process. You're not gonna get better in one day. Right. And I think that's kind of what, frustrated me, is I wanted to be okay, and I wasn't, and I definitely feel like it was affecting, everything else around me.
Yeah. I feel like life is harder for young NFL players or whatnot today than it was, let's say, 15 years ago or 20 years ago.
Oh my God.
If you were a first round pick then, whatever, and you didn't pick up the newspaper that day, you were all right. You weren't going to hear anything.
It's because social media.
Exactly. Today, now it follows you everywhere. It's people like Garrett, who social media guys, like big point. Honestly, like I feel about social media, it's beautiful in some ways, and it's opened up a whole world to people that maybe didn't even see that before, but it has a lot of negatives about it.
It does have a lot of negatives about it.
How have you dealt with that? What would your advice be to people? You've gone through that and seem like you're in a much better place with that now. How did you do that, and what would your advice be to people
for social media?
Yeah.
You just gotta ignore it, man. You just gotta ignore it. Half the people don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. But
more than half.
99%. Yeah, 99%. I feel like I definitely just had to take time to myself. Like I was saying earlier, I never left social media. I love social media. It's provided, a lot of opportunities. I laugh at social media. It's hilarious. You get to, learn a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of things that I learned in my life, from my generation is like we learned through social media. I couldn't tell you anything right now from high school that's benefited me today, but I could tell you what I learned on TikTok that I use in my everyday life. But for me, I just, had to, just block out the noise. It's hard. It's easy to say, but hard to do. But also realizing that most people have no idea what they're talking about. And I definitely think that right there gave me, a better peace of mind with everything.
When you talk about people having no idea, a lot of people had no idea at this point a year ago that you weren't sure if you were going to be able to play last year.
Yeah.
And that extended all the way up until training camp. Like you didn't know because you were coming off the foot injury. So the foot injury happened in 2022. Serious injury, and you're working your way back, and you were on the field a little bit at this time in the spring, kind of working your way back, and then you weren't sure if you were going to be able to play last year.
Yeah, I wasn't sure at all. Like when obviously I got hurt, I had rehab and whatever, and then I went back home and I was rehabbing. I went to Arizona and I was rehabbing, and the foot would not heal. It would not get better. I would try to run routes, and I just couldn't even push off like my left foot. So I was freaking out, and, training camp was coming up. I was like, I want to play. I got to get this together, because it's going to be a whole negative social media aspect that come with it that I wasn't in the mood to deal with. it still kind of happened when they found out that, you know, I missed, you know, training camp due to my injury. But, you know, that stuff's out of my control, man. And I think that helped me along the way as well.
Yeah. And what, so like, at what point did you know that you were going to be able to play last year?
Maybe 2 weeks before the first game.
Really?
Yeah, I had to, like, you know, practice, you know, to make sure that it was like right, able to go out. That's why when I first came back, I wasn't even playing a position that I play. That's why, you know, me and Odell was kind of like UN, because I had missed all the training camp. You know, from a coach's perspective, it's hard to just throw somebody in the game, in a very important game, you know, if he hasn't seen, you know, what he needs to see. No matter what I think I can do, you know, that's, you know, the offensive coordinator's job, and I have to respect him about that. And I can't be mad at him, because if it was me, I would be the same way.
Yeah, I actually thought that was kind of an interesting admission from Todd Monken, and he talked about, like, you and Odell played the same position, and you were working your way back, and you didn't know basically if you're going to be able to play. And he basically just kind of acknowledged that, like, Odell, he basically went with Odell because he kind of knew that early on, and then, like, it's kind of like you're saying, like, he didn't know whether or not you were going to be able to go. And then it was just like, I guess that time passed, which is like disappointing for you. Like, I'm sure that was something that was like difficult for you to deal with. You get back, you work your way back, you don't know if you're going to play. And then it's like, you're not putting up the numbers or getting the targets that you want.
I was going to say that last year probably in certain ways was more difficult than like the injured years.
Really?
You know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every moment of it, and I have fun, but I'm a competitor. I want to win. I want to be on the field, and I want to be, you know, a part of the team. And I'm in the NFL, I'm blessed, but I just feel like I haven't lived, you know, that moment, you know, that I've always dreamed of. So, you know, being healthy and not being able to, you know, do the things that I want to do on the field, definitely, you know, frustrated me at times. But we were on a roll last year. It was kind of hard to be mad, you know. So I felt selfish, you know, and, you know, that's just me being honest.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had to check myself on that as well. I was blessed to be on the field. I needed to be thankful for that. Odell, him going through what he went through was a great role model for me. So, I mean, looking back at it, it was probably the best thing that happened for me. You know, it was kind of like a year one for me. But yeah, you know, it was good.
When did the foot actually start feeling good?
I literally was going through my phone the other day, and I found like videos of me doing rehab here, and it was during training camp, and maybe I definitely missed all the training camp. Then I came back like the final week.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was hurting then. And a lot of
grinding.
And a lot of people don't know, like, the tape job that I had to do to my foot, like for me to play last year, was like insane. Like, the trainers had to like tape my big toe and bend it and wrap it and then spat it. And yeah, you know, I had to go to halftime and, you know, check in with the trainers all the time to make sure that, you know, I'm okay. I felt like a little baby at times, you know, everybody always got to check on me, but yeah, it was definitely a process.
Interesting. Wow. I think we all, I can at least speak for us, have seen the social media clips of like you just cooking guys and getting wide open and then the ball not coming, right? And I'm sure you've probably seen it, that you're on social media too. Like you're saying, that was part of the frustration. That's what made last season difficult. At the same time, does that also give you the confidence, and you probably always had this, like, look, I'm just going to cook cornerbacks. Cooking cornerbacks is what I do. I'm a chef out there,
sure,
right? Like,
sure.
Does that give you that feeling, that confidence going forward?
Yeah, you know, I've always been confident that I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like, me personally, the opportunities just have to be there. When I came in here as a rookie, you know, training camp, you know, before I got hurt, I was doing those things at practice. My sophomore campaign, before I got hurt, I was doing those things at practice, you know, and I will continue to get better because of my work ethic. But I've always been confident in myself and my abilities, you know, but timing is everything. You know, that's what I'm learning as well. It's just not my time. I don't know if my time is this year. I'm not trying to sit here and hype anybody up, because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm the person now that, lives on the 50-50 rule. It could go this way or it could go this way. For me, it's just all about, staying healthy, being happy, making sure my family and the people I care about is good.
To that point, and you've kind of did this even at the first question that Ryan asked about everything's coming together. It seems like you're almost going out of your way not to add any hype. There's a lot of hype and excitement around you. There's a lot of fans. It's all right, you're going to be a starter. You're healthy at the end of last season.
There's the Bateman breakout year.
That's what basically everybody I feel around you, fan wise, Ravens fans, there's hype building around you. But you don't want any part of that. It seems like.
No, I do not want any part of that.
Can we just rewind that first question? We can erase that.
I don't at all. But, I understand what comes with the job.
Yeah.
I was a first round draft pick. They expect high things out of me, but I do too. I expect those things from myself. But life happens. I couldn't control that.
Yeah.
I can't control if the ball comes to me or not. And these are the things that people are mad at me about. But it's just, I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to, be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's whatever. It's whatever at this point. I'm happy. I'm blessed. I'm a part of the Ravens organization. Got an extension.
Right. We were going to get there. We were going to forget about that.
Nobody thought was going to happen, myself included. But, I think that should tell the community, the fans something,
Yeah, for sure.
Take us through that. Because you talk about being honest. You said when you talked earlier this offseason that you thought you might get traded.
I mean, for sure. I mean, you're thinking about how my career has went since I've been here. I mean, hurt 2 years in a row. Zay Flowers come in and do his thing. It's the NFL. You can find anybody to go do these jobs and, pay them. I don't
know about that. That might be over.
I mean, not that.
Look at Garrett.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
I can go up and contested catch.
Contested catch. You could do that. But, I just had to find my path, through the whole process.
Yeah. So can you take us into when was it a phone call? Was it your agent called you and was like, hey, the Ravens just offered you an extension? Take us into how that all went down and your reaction at that moment.
Well, my agent called me and they told me that the Ravens wanted to potentially extend me because there was some stuff going on with my contract from this past year. And honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I didn't think nothing of it.
Really? You were just that's not happening.
I was bowling at the time. I was with James Crochet and Deshaun Elliott for Sean's birthday. I was in Texas with them, and it kind of all happened then. But I honestly just brushed it off. I was like, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. Because at this time, I was prepared to be, traded. It was already rumors, going around about it. But and from my perspective, or any football, player's perspective, based on my career numbers, I mean, that's highly likely. It was highly likely to happen. It could be a potential, thing. So, yeah, when they called and said it, and then my agent called back, and she told me that it was a real thing. Honestly, bro, I thought she was lying. I was like, because I just felt like I haven't earned it. I want to feel like I have earned it. But even then, I belittled myself. I did earn it. I practice hard. When I'm on the field, I play hard. The tape doesn't lie. They see that. Mm-hmm. Everybody see that. So I did earn my contract. People feel like I didn't, but I did. Right. Just turn on the tape.
Yeah.
So they're not in the business of giving out contracts to guys they don't believe in, right? Exactly. That's not how this game works.
Yeah.
Right.
So does the contract, is it a sigh of relief? You've got that piece, you know where you're going to be for the next few years. There's some financial security, of course. Mm-hmm. Does all of that ease the burden? How do you assess that piece of it?
It definitely eases the burden of knowing, where you'll be, where you'll live, and things like that. And, just being able to, help my family, be there for my family financially, if they need it. But yeah, man, I definitely didn't expect it at all. But I hope it all works out.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it alleviates pressure on the field. Like it seems like
no, it puts more pressure on the field. But I don't have a problem with that. You know, I know what I can do. Comfortable in a good headspace. So I'm excited to go play this year. Okay. I'm really excited.
Is this the best that you have felt all around since you were drafted? Mentally, physically, everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
That's cool. I mean, that's got to be a great feeling.
It is
right?
a great
when you
feeling.
go through what you've gone through to come out the other end of that.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, it's tough. I mean, a lot of people would fold. And I've seen people fold. People fold every day going through stuff. Right. And my mom raised, me to be tough. My grandma raised me to be tough. In certain situations like that, I went through way tougher situations as a kid. And I just always had to take myself back to where I come from. Because nothing was harder than that. So, being able to, look back at that, seeing that I stuck through that, I knew that I can get through this, no problem. Right. For sure.
And as you look like into this year, just from a football standpoint, what kind of excitement do you have? You and Zay, I think that like you complement each other really well. Second year of Todd's offense, Lamar just continuing to play at a high level. Like from a football standpoint, how well do you feel like this offense is coming along at this point?
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I really do think that it's going to be fun. It'll be a good year. The defense is the defense. We know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. But for the offense, I think we had a successful year last year.
Yeah.
First year up under Coach Monken. And, I mean, we did a lot of things people said that we wasn't going to do. And being able to be up under that system again, having some knowledge, players coming back, some chemistry in certain places, it definitely helps us, in our confidence a lot. And as far as me and Zay, I mean, ever since Zay been here, all we've talked about is, the duo turning up, doing our thing, because we got similar, we played different, but we just kind of moved the same, and it just looks different. So, me and him connect, we talk, we give each other's details, and we pass along to the guys. But me and Zay are definitely, excited to go out and play together.
When I think about you, I always think about, it was Dolphins, right? The slant that you took to the house. Yeah. I think about the Jets, the long touchdown there, and all that.
The Dolphins is the one.
The Dolphins is the one.
That's the play, right?
That guy.
The Dolphins is the one.
Yeah, that is sick. I mean,
I feel like I had all my best games against the Dolphins.
Yeah, this year
my
too.
Rookie year, I didn't play much. We had Sammy Watkins, and I came in on the back half of the game and played well.
That's right. It was a rough game for us, but you played well near the end. Yep.
The next year after that was the slant game. And even this year against Miami was kind of like my best game.
Is Miami on the schedule this year?
Just
Can we get
around, them? I wish they was on the schedule. At this point, I really do.
Right. I mean, so for you, without hyping it too much, like, do you also think back to those times and you're like, man, like hearing that stadium erupting, and I remember after that slant touchdown, you coming to the sideline, and you're just like looking up in that crowd and all that. Like, does that get you really excited for this season, thinking about those moments and having more of them?
That moment right there, I mean, like the Miami game, that's like the highlight of my NFL career right now. Yeah. So that whole game like really was, but that play, definitely replays in my head a lot, because I want to recreate that feeling, for the team. I want to feel that for myself. Yeah. I want to feel that, that football, like good, energy, creating big plays, crowd going crazy. That's what every kid dreams of, when they want to play football. So just being able to, stay healthy and go out and play.
Right. And lastly, for me, we were talking as we were walking into this about your fashion line. And I would be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to kind of to tease that a little bit. Yeah. We said you're the most fashionable guy, certainly in this room, probably on the team. I know that there would be some guys that would argue that probably. Right. There's some challengers, but tell fans a little bit about what's ahead for you.
I'm definitely excited about my clothing brand coming out. It's called Without Lords. You can go follow them on Instagram. Right. And it's a business with a group of me and my friends. A lot of my best friends work with me, not for me. One of my best friends, he is a creative designer. He's in school for fashion design. He makes clothes from scratch, and he's also the head creative designer for our brand. The guy that used to shoot pictures for me in high school is the one who works the whole media company for the brand. Cool. So I love it because everybody that I work with inside that is, I know them. I grew up with them, or it's somebody that I met, in college that we're real close. it's like a family, family brand, good vibes, good energy, but we definitely are excited about the clothes aspect. We believe in our vision and what we see, and I hope people see that too.
Well, once the clothes drop, we're going to have to up our game a little
For
bit.
sure.
We're going to be coming your way once the clothes drop and trying to get
you.
some. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, Rashod.
Thank you.
Man.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're listening to the Lounge Podcast, and we're sitting here in the SeatGeek studio. We also want to give a shout out to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are an official sports betting partner of the Baltimore Ravens. They've got a limited time offer running that you don't want to miss. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. If you are a new user, you can get a deposit bonus up to $1,000. Again, the promo code is FLOCK only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You need to be 21 years or older to play and physically present in Maryland. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, super honest, raw at times conversation with Rashod, which, like we said to him, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the openness. I think some of the stuff that he was talking about is probably not the easiest to discuss. And I really commend him for giving us the time and being so honest with it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was at a low point last year, less than a year ago at this point, and the foot's not responding. His grandmother dies, his cousin dies. That's the dark times. That's tough. And I think it really speaks to his resolve that he got through that time, and got back on the field. I mean, that's when you're talking about stuff like that, getting back on the field that's minimal, right? That's like the smaller of the priorities there. It's kind of getting your head on straight, and for him to do that from a mental standpoint, and then from a football standpoint to kind of respond the way he did, despite the challenges of being behind Odell and kind of behind where the offense had gotten to that point, not getting the targets he wants and all that stuff. You just see a mature Rashod Bateman, and people who've gone through what he's gone through in his life, you have to grow up fast, but that doesn't mean you're grown up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like listening to him here today, you're like, man, this is a grown up. You know what I mean?
He's still a young guy. I think he's 24 years old.
Yeah.
So he's still a super young guy to have experienced all that, and just from a pure health standpoint, we have said many times on this podcast that a Liz Frank is a super serious injury that is often a 2-year injury.
Hollywood Brown
said the same thing. Jimmy Smith said the same thing. Yep. You go all the way down the line that the recovery time from that, there's a time when you get back on the field, and then there's a time when you start to feel like yourself again.
Exactly.
And oftentimes there's a year gap between those two. And so the fact that he was, really on the fence going into last season, but then he was still able to stay healthy all year, I think says a lot about, the kind of the work and the progress that he went through last year. And I think that things, he doesn't, want to be part of the hype train. And, I think that I'm not going to sit here and blow too much smoke, but I think that I think that things are aligning to your point in that conversation, for him to have a really good season. I think Zay Flowers and him are a really nice duo. I think they complement each other really well. He's going to be a starter this year. The Ravens gave him that extension because they believe in him. And so I think that he could have a really big season, and he's incredibly important piece of this offense. He's
for sure
a massive piece of this offense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be relied on in that X role that does a lot. And the talent has always been there. There's never, since Rashod Bateman stepped onto the field as a rookie, the talent was obvious. He's got it in spades. The way he moves, I think it said something that Nate Wiggins said, Rashod Bateman's been the hardest guy to cover in OTAs. That tells you a little bit of something about Rashod Bateman. And the tape, like you said, doesn't lie. You see it when you flip it on. This dude is spinning some of the best cornerbacks in the league around like they're tops.
Yeah.
And so, it's really a matter of all those other pieces in his life, and particularly when it comes to football, his health, and those things come together. And the fact that he feels better than ever right now really feels like, hey, this is a guy that's going to put up some big numbers.
Yeah, I think that he's going to certainly be, again, a huge piece of the offense, and he's somebody that when you talk to him and you listen to him, it's hard not to root for him given what he's overcome to this point. So, friend of the lounge, and the lounge, and certainly lounge listeners are going to be rooting for him. So, wish the best for Rashod Bateman this year. As always, viewers and listeners, you can email us at thelounge@ravens.nfl.net.
Hold on, wait. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. Tell the viewers who wrote down that Rashod Bateman's going to have a 1,000-yard season as a Raven.
You did.
For this organization when he was drafted. Who wrote it down on a piece of paper? You put it up on the board.
Yep.
Signed it.
Well, you moved out of your old space, so now
I took it with me.
okay, it's still
I took
there.
it with me. I don't have a tack board right now.
Okay.
I'm still kind of moving in. It's in a drawer.
Yeah.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Well, it's not delivered yet. It's not delivered yet. But I'm just saying, when it happens, I want to rewind, Bryson. I want to rewind the tape when it happens. And I'm like, I'm gonna say if. You gotta find if because Rashod will want me to say if.
Yeah.
If it happens, I just want to come back to this.
I want you to find that paper. In order, if this, you need to find the paper.
It's in the drawer.
We'll see.
I got it.
We'll see.
I got the paper.
If he hits 1,000, you don't have the paper. It doesn't count.
I've got it. All right. It's one of those moving things. It's in a box.
Yeah.
It's there.
Okay.
It's there.
All right. Well, again, you can email us at thelounge@ravens.nfl.net. We always appreciate your questions. This is the off-season time, and this is the break time for a lot of these guys, and we would love to hear from you guys, the listeners. So thank you so much for listening and for watching, and we will talk with you again soon.